5 reasons why F1 driver comparisons are stupid. There will never be a day go by where people haven't discussed if somebody is better at something than someone else. In football, who's better, Messi or Ronaldo? In tennis, Federer or Nadal? In F1, Schumacher or Hamilton? But we at WTF1 have come up with 5 examples as to why F1 driver comparisons can get a little bit silly, and if we're to compare them in a certain way, Pastor Maldonado is better than Ayrton Senna. Now you're probably wondering, how on earth have we come up with that conclusion? Well, you'll have to stick around to find out. Let's get on with our first example. Ralf Schumacher is better than Michael Schumacher. Think Ralf was just Michael's less successful younger brother? You're wrong. Although Michael has all the titles and most of the wins, amazingly it turns out if the two had ever been teammates, Ralf would have come out on top. How do we know this? Well, between 2010 and 2012, Michael was teammate to Nico Rosberg, and in all 3 seasons, Nico finished ahead in the championship. As much as it pains me to say this, it was a comprehensive defeat. After Schumacher, Rosberg spent the next 3 seasons being beaten at Mercedes by Lewis Hamilton. Let's cast our minds back now to the year 2000. Ralf was driving for Williams alongside debutant Jenson Button. He finished 5th in the title that year with 3 podiums and 24 points, while Button scored just half that amount. Fast forward over a decade to 2011 and Button is teammates with Lewis Hamilton, beating him by a massive 43 points in the championship. When Hamilton joined Mercedes in 2013, he beat Nico Rosberg for 3 seasons in a row, and Rosberg had spent the 3 seasons before that beating Michael in his return to the sport. And that's the link. Ralf beat Button, who beat Hamilton, who beat Rosberg, who beat Michael, proving that Ralf was definitely the best Schumacher brother. Are you understanding the tone of this video yet? We're definitely being completely serious. Will Stevens is better than Kimi Räikkönen. We've always had our suspicions, but this confirms it. Will Stevens made his F1 debut for Caterham in the final race of 2014 and finished a whopping 17th, while teammate Kamui Kobayashi didn't even make the checkered flag. 1-0 Stevens. It was no mean feat given that Kobayashi beat the legend that is Nick Heidfeld when they were paired at Sauber at the end of 2010. And Heidfeld himself beat Felipe Massa at the same team in 2002. Massa then of course went on to join Ferrari, and in 2008 he beat Kimi Räikkönen. So there you go, proof that Will Stevens is better than the 2007 champion, if only he'd been given a better chance. Narain Karthikeyan is better than Nigel Mansell. This one is a lengthy chain, but oh my, is it worth it. The cucumber man himself, Karthikeyan, was dropped from HRT midway through 2011 in favour of a much shyer than he is now, Daniel Ricciardo. But when Karthikeyan returned for his home race in India in place of the other HRT driver Tonio Liuzzi, he instantly showed that the team had been wrong to drop him, finishing 17th, 1 place ahead of Ricciardo. Completely wiped the floor with him. Danny Ric then went on to progress through Toro Rosso and into Red Bull, and in his debut season with the team famously trounced 4-time champion Sebastian Vettel, who had the cheek to call Karthikeyan a cucumber. Unbelievable. Vettel was unaccustomed to being beaten by Aussies, having spent 5 seasons solidly beating Mark Webber, who in turn had spent 2 years finishing ahead of David Coulthard in the championship before Vettel came along. Coulthard himself was a solid performer, having spent several years at McLaren where he twice outscored Mika Hakkinen during a season. Now pay attention, as this is where the Mansell connection comes in. He drove his final 2 F1 races for McLaren in 1995, but scored no points, while Mika scored 2. It's a lengthy chain, but going back the other way, it makes complete and utter sense. Mansell was beaten by Hakkinen, who was beaten by Coulthard, who was beaten by Webber, who was beaten by Vettel, who was beaten by Ricciardo, who was beaten by Karthikeyan. Therefore, by proxy of teammates, Karthikeyan would have beaten Mansell. It's so obvious. Jarno Trulli is better than Jarno Trulli. No driver can possibly be better than themselves, I hear you cry. Well, Jarno Trulli has proved us otherwise. During his final season with Lotus in 2011, he finished ahead of Heikki Kovalainen in the championship, and Kovalainen beat Giancarlo Fisichella at Renault in 2007. Fisichella beat Button at Benetton in 2001, Button outscored Hamilton at McLaren in 2011 as we've already established, come on, keep up. And Hamilton famously beat Fernando Alonso and Countback during the 2007 season. Alonso was teammates with Trulli for a couple of years and beat him in 2003, thereby proving that Jarno Trulli really was better than Jarno Trulli. Pastor Maldonado is better than Ayrton Senna. And here we are at the final example. Despite their obvious similarities, Maldonado doesn't have a complete teammate chain back to Ayrton Senna, but thankfully there's a much more concrete connection which proves that he was faster. Ayrton once said, "If you think I'm fast, just wait until you see my nephew Bruno." There's no way, Jose, Ayrton would lie about his young nephew being faster than him. So you have to say that it's a given that Bruno Senna is better than Ayrton was. And who was Bruno's teammate at Williams in 2012? Maldonado. And who ended the season with the most points? Maldonado. Therefore, Maldonado is better than Ayrton. It's a simple fact. There you have it. If you ever wanted proof that driver comparisons can get a little bit out of hand, just share this video with that friend that won't stop bugging you for an answer as to who's better. Just simply say, Jarno Trulli is both the best and worst driver you've ever seen. They won't get what you mean, but you will. Can you come up with any ridiculous teammate chains that prove which drivers were better than others? Let us know in the comments section below.